The definition and goal of marketing is to change people's minds and prepare them to make a buying decision. Today's topic is print marketing dead? Does it still have a place? You're going to hear that argument. You're going to hear whether or not you should be investing in print. And if you do, what are some great tactics on how to be sure you get the most out of your money? Enjoy. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Very excited today to bring you a topic that I think is relevant for everybody out there. And the question that I want to ask you is print marketing dead? Obviously, we're living in a world of social media marketing, digital, almost everything. And we're going to come back and answer that question from someone who is an expert at helping their clients really stand out. We're going to talk about how that even ties into your potential print marketing budget. Let's talk a little bit about, before I go into there, I want to remind you that the purpose of this show is to help you to think bigger. I know that when you think bigger, everything else in life gets easier. Everything that you want in life becomes attainable. That's the purpose of this show, is to help you to do that. I bring specific big thinkers in front of you to help you do that. I would ask that if you find value in this, give a review at whatever platform you're listening at, give a comment, share it with somebody. Let's not keep this content that we're going to hear from this great leader today a secret. And that great leader today is Emile Bonfiglio. He is the publisher and owner of Luxury Home Magazine in Oregon and Southwest Washington. He's also a very good friend of mine, someone who I admire both in business and in life. Emile, thanks for coming on the show today, man. Super great to have you here.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. You know, this is our, I think our third time to make this happen. We've had some technical difficulties each time. So, you know, third time's a charm.
It really is. We've proven that. Emile, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to ask you a question that's totally off topic. I know you're a dad of a beautiful family. Part of the purpose of this show of Thinking Bigger is to help people think even bigger than real estate, think even bigger than their profession. Tell me, what's your favorite part about being a dad?
Oh, I think my favorite part about being a dad is taking all the mistakes that I've learned in life and trying to teach my kids not to make those mistakes.
I love that. I love that. That becomes a great curriculum, right? If I were to look at everything I've made, okay, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Yeah, you can really kind of pour into them. That's awesome. I love that. As I mentioned, you're somebody I admire both in life and in business. We've been friends for a long time, and I've always admired what you do on the professional side. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is Luxury Home Magazine? And then we're going to parlay into this topic of, is that dead, right? Is print dead? Obviously, you know, you've got a little bit of a biased opinion, but I'm going to help you make the case that the goal of marketing is to stand out. And if everybody's crowding into the digital space, it might be noteworthy to have some sort of non-digital marketing approach. We'll get to that, but talk to us quickly about Luxury Home Magazine. What is it? What's kind of the real value proposition to agents?
Sure. So Luxury Home Magazine's been around since 2004. And basically what we are is we are a tool that agents use to reach buyers and sellers of luxury real estate. We brand the top agents representing the top properties in the area to a high net worth audience. And we do that through a number of channels, print being one of them, but also through digital and through social avenues. And, you know, really our goal is to try and represent the best of the best to the top people in an area.
I love it. So you guys have a distribution. How many magazines go out? Is it every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks? How often do you guys publish?
So it's 6 times a year. It averages out to about every 2 months. We squeeze our schedule together a little bit closer in the summer when inventory is moving faster. And then when things slow down a little bit, we space it out a tad bit more, but it comes out to 6 times a year, about every 2 months.
Okay. And how many homes or businesses do your magazines fall in?
Yeah, so we print 25,000 copies every issue. Our largest form of distribution is through direct mail. 17,000 copies get mailed every issue to people that live in homes valued at $900,000 or more. And then the remaining 8,000 copies get hand distributed to a variety of venues. We call them upscale venues. They could be anywhere from private airports to country clubs to the waiting rooms of luxury car dealerships.
So these people aren't necessarily subscribing, but just because of their price point, they're receiving it. So your distribution is very wide and very intentional to reach a very specific audience. And it's not, I hope these people subscribe so that I can get your homes in front of these people. You're saying, no, these magazines will be in these homes if they're priced at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we try really hard. And I think with any type of marketing, really focusing on your audience is important. So people will ask us sometimes, they'll say, oh, well, do you just mail to this zip code? And we say, no, we don't go by zip code. We really go house by house. And there are certain areas where, you can find a neighborhood. And I'll use Lake Oswego, Oregon as a good example, where it's not uncommon for there to be a $400,000 single level ranch home next to a $1.5 million Mediterranean custom built home. And that's not an odd thing. And so we don't just mail to everybody on a certain street. We really go home by home because our goal is to make sure that our clients' marketing dollars are being spent the best and that they're getting in front of the audience that they want to reach.
I think there's so many lessons for all of us, right? When it comes to print as well as digital, as well as in-person marketing, is that if you don't have the right audience, right? Oftentimes we take this shotgun approach and we blast it out to kind of a really wide audience. Whereas you guys have spent your time, and I would recommend everybody here, whether you're doing a geographic farm, whether you're doing a Facebook media campaign, whether you're sending postcards, spend a little more time and even a little more money to get clear on who are we actually trying to reach? Like this message would resonate really with who's the ideal avatar of who we're trying to reach. Spend a little more time, effort, money to get that audience, because then I would imagine it just gets so much easier to do what you do to get your message across. Because again, you're speaking to the right people.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to build a brand and you want to reach, individuals that are interested in what it is that you're selling, whatever business or product or service it is that you're trying to provide. The shotgun approach sounds really good, but, the return on that sometimes is really low. And so, that's one of the things that, sometimes you can appreciate about some digital advertising is that you can hone in a little bit and you can specialize. It's a little bit harder to do that with print. It takes more work. That's one of the things I think we pride ourselves on, is that we put a lot of time and effort into crafting that audience, because we don't just go buy a list from some online site that has generated tax records or something like that. You have to go in, you have to do the work, you have to drill down, but when you do that, you can reap the results.
I love it. It's great lesson for everybody that's marketing. And even I would say, even within your own sphere and database, right? Even partitioning part of that out of people who are, empty nesters versus people who have young families. Your message is gonna resonate, and the more specific you can hone in a message for those people, the more relevant you're going to be. And we're living in a time and an area where you have to be relevant because people are flooded with so much information coming at them. On that note, let's segue into, Emile, prior to COVID, there was a lot of marketing activities that happened face-to-face, knee-to-knee, out client events. And now because of, the pandemic, all of the stuff that was offline is now forced to online, right? Now, this call most likely would have been a Zoom call anyway, but there's a lot of meetings happening today, like most of them, that would have been face-to-face, would have been in person, that are now happening digitally, right? So I want everybody to kind of consider that with the goal of marketing being to stand out, all of a sudden digital became a very crowded ocean because everything that used to be offline is now online, right? So I would argue that print is not dead, right? That if the goal is to stand, in fact, I would even argue to say that it's even more relevant than ever because people have less human contact, right? Less contact with physical, tactile things. That now a way to really stand out is to actually either find a way safely to be in front of people or find a way safely to get content in front of people. Talk to us a little bit about kind of your perspective and maybe how your business has changed or adapted or maybe flourished during this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing just personally that I found myself dealing with over the last few months is I would call it digital fatigue. It's that I kind of, I'm tired of looking at Instagram, and I feel like the number of ads on Instagram has just exploded. And it feels like anytime I talk about something with my wife, next thing I know, there's an Instagram ad that's popped up about it. But, between that and watching things on Netflix, I know for me, I just feel like I need a little bit of space from that digital interaction. So when something like the restoration hardware catalog comes, or a Pottery Barn mailer, Crate and Barrel, something like that. I find that I'm drawn to look to that and to read through it because it's a break. It's something interesting. And sometimes, we live in a world where stuff is so tailored and drawn up for us that we like to have stuff presented to us that may not be in our interest level. And that's one of the things that I think has always proven very effective about our magazine and the way we distribute is that, I have a conversation with agents where I say, look, you've got a house for sale. It's $1.5 million home for sale in a certain zip code. Because of digital home searches, everybody who's looking for a property in that zip code, they already know your house exists. So we're not trying to reach those people. The goal is with print marketing is to go out and to find the people that don't know that your product exists, educate them on that product, and then give them a reason to learn more about it. And that's the kind of results that we usually see our clients get is they find someone who says, hey, you know what? I was looking for a house over in this area. I saw the print magazine come out. The home spoke to me, even though it was in a different city. I realized that was maybe more of a property that I wanted, talked to my agent, and we went and looked at it. And we hear that story all the time.
It is interesting. I know when my wife and I, 5.5 years ago, were searching for our home, we had a very specific zip code we were looking within. Like, this is the only place we would go. And our agent showed us a property a little further out, and we hadn't considered it. But when we saw how well it resonated with what we were actually wanting, we quickly jumped on it. So I agree that buyers tend to come in with a little bit of, tunnel vision on, we want to live in this area and attend this school district and be close to this country club or this gym or, this work. And once given an alternative that they hadn't considered, all of a sudden it becomes a real possibility. But you're right, it takes some sort of pattern interrupt, right? One of my marketing mentors taught me that concept. You've got to have a pattern interrupt, something that causes people to change their paradigm and change the way that they look at things. And what you're describing there is that you're saying that print can be that pattern interrupt in a really powerful way.
It can. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that a few years ago, people said print is dead. And in certain aspects, it absolutely is. Phone books, gone, right? I remember I was at a conference, all of the publishers of Luxury Home Magazine, we were together at a conference in this hotel. And then the other part of the conference room, it was like a Yellow Pages meeting of regional representatives. And we were all kind of murmuring amongst ourselves, like, man, does anybody want to tell those guys that like in 2 years, they're going to be gone, that nobody's going to use them? Because I think the importance of print in anything that you do is it's justifying a reason for the product, and is there a way that product is providing a service that can't normally be done in another way? And that's where postcards, mailers, things like that, if you're doing it right and you're taking the right approach and you're attacking the right audience, they can be very effective. Just blanket, kind of carpetbagging, is that the word I think, where you're just dropping, one on every doorstep. That's not an effective use of dollars.
Yeah. Let's talk just a little bit about, and for those that are tuning in, know that we are going to give a luxury home market update, stuff that, because again, Emile, you've got an amazing perspective as you deal with a lot of different clients. You're seeing how fast stuff's turning over and not. So stay tuned if you're interested in hearing a luxury market update on our current market here in the Portland metro area, which also obviously affects California, Seattle, and other parts of the country. So stay tuned for that. But talk to us, Emile, before we get to that, what are some good tips that you would give to an agent who says, I agree with what you're saying, that print is not dead when done correctly? What advice would you give? What advice do you give agents that come and have a marketing budget and they say, I've got a property that needs to be advertised, and or I just want to advertise my own business, right, to get more listings? What's some of the best practices that agents can really walk away with today saying, I'm going to be much more effective, my dollar's going to go further because of what Emile taught me today?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things that are really important. Number one, and I'm still amazed that we still see this today, but you have to have good digital assets. And when I say that, I mean photography. There is no excuse for an agent today not to have a very professional, up-to-date headshot. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 85 years old and you're still selling real estate. You can have an updated headshot that isn't 25 years old and it's going to make people relate to you. Because when they meet you, and I hear this all the time, they go, oh, you're not the person that I saw in the picture. So represent you for who you are. Also, in terms of your properties, take good photos. It's the best money that you can spend for marketing a home, whether in print, online. It's absolutely the best money that you can spend. And I hate to see when people go cheap there. Phones are great and they have amazing capabilities with the cameras, but spend the money on a professional photographer. It's well worth it. The second thing I think that's important is have a story to tell. Even if you are telling the story that you want to exist, maybe you're not there yet, have a story to tell. Say that you are an agent that represents these types of properties and works with these types of buyers. I hear so many people that just say, you know, a property just fell into my lap, or I don't really work that market. And you can sense that they don't have a level of confidence behind representing that product. And that shows in their marketing because they don't put the right kind of passion and influence behind it that I think these homes deserve. On the flip side of that, you see some agents and some people will say, oh my gosh, how do some of these agents keep picking up these properties time and time again? I think a lot of that is just confidence and posture and the way that they position themselves.
You know, I'm a student of ad copy, of what gets and keeps attention. And I have shared this before, is that if you own, I mean, it's in real estate, it's location, 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 right? We've heard that ever since we were kids. And I believe that today in the space of marketing today, that it's very much location, location, location in people's brains. That you have to own a piece of real estate in people's brains to ever have a chance of serving them when it comes to their real estate needs. 0% like real estate in their brain, 0% chance they'll use you. And I love what you said about stories, because again, stories have the ability to create a stickiness behind advertising that nothing else really does. I see so many agents talking about the nuts and bolts and of a home, right? Of a house. You know, it has this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, rather than telling a story. And now keep in mind that those things need to exist, right? People want to know those things.
Yeah.
But if you can also tell a story of not just like, tell me about the house, tell me what my life would look like and how my life would be better by living in that home. I think that's a totally different level of marketing. And I see you guiding and coaching people to do exactly that. And I would just agree with you entirely that the story has to take place if you want this to actually leave an impression upon people and get them to remember you and remember the homes that you market, right?
It's funny, when you say that, I'm thinking about, you know, in life, you know, when we used to be able to go to a clothing store, for example, right? Let's take buying an article of clothing online. Oftentimes, I think you can, as you're searching through a website, you know, you're scrolling and there's just this monotonous kind of rotation of images that's going by. And you might see a shirt that you like, but maybe you don't remember it. You go back later to look for it and you're like, I can't find that shirt, right? I don't know where. But oftentimes, let's say you go into Nordstrom's and you're looking at a pair of shoes or a suit or something. You can recall in your mind exactly where that suit was in that store. And I think of that sometimes with providing services. I might see an ad that I like on Instagram for a product. Try to go back and find that product. It's almost impossible. But if I flip through a magazine, for example, there's something about that tactile memory that exists that you can go back and reference a product. You remember where you saw it. You probably know that when you read a book and something sticks out to you, you can remember where on a page that was. I don't have that same experience with, you know, reading on a Kindle or an audiobook. I tried to find stuff and I can't. So there is something I think about a visual interaction that is very, very helpful to us.
It's interesting you say that. I've actually gone away, actually turned off or paused my Audible subscription just recently. I had like 3 or 4 credits adding up and a bunch of books that I hadn't listened to. And part of the reason why I did that, it's not because I'm learning less, it's because I'm not in the car like I used to be. And I'm actually taking time to sit down and read. And the depth of learning that I'm gaining by sitting and reading as opposed to listening, I thought it was the same, right? Oh yeah, I read X number of books. It's so different that now I'm actually internalizing and I'm taking notes. And when I start to create, it sticks bigger, meaning as I'm reading, I'm writing notes and I'm comparing that to my life and who, you know, which of my clients can I help with that? How can I apply that in my own life? Those things resonate so much more deeply and stick longer, right? Kind of on that same kind of theme of having sticky marketing, sticky learning. With that, I mean, let's jump into a luxury home market update. Again, you deal with kind of the top luxury agents throughout this entire region. You know what's happening in their business. Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing.
Well, it's been a wild few months, that's for sure, right? I mean, I think a lot of us started off this year with a lot of optimism and encouragement, and then all of a sudden in March, the world fell apart. And I had talked to agents that lost, tens of millions of dollars in escrow in the course of weeks. It just fell apart. Yeah. People were unsure about what was going to happen to the economy, what was going to happen to their jobs, what was their workplace environment going to look like. And it feels like very quickly that has changed. I've talked to a couple agents that have said they're having the best years of their career right now. And I find that amazing. I think what you're going to see right now is a couple things. As I talk to some owners of some companies, some larger companies, they see an opportunity for agents to capitalize on this market. I mean, I don't just necessarily mean the luxury market, but I mean the real estate market in general. We probably have, I'd say somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 excess agents in the market. And usually what happens in times of economic uncertainty like this is that those people leave and go to do something else. And so I think you're going to see a little bit of a exodus from the industry. And that's a good thing because that creates more money and more opportunity for those people who are consistent and stay committed to the industry. In terms of the luxury real estate and what we're seeing, there's some amazing homes coming on the market right now. Some properties that we haven't seen ever, some that we haven't seen for a very long time. Some of them I call trophy properties. These are the top 1% of the 1% homes. And these homes, they don't come on the market unless those sellers actually think that there is a buyer out there. And Oregon and Southwest Washington, we are seeing an influx of people from other areas. California, still, Seattle, Washington, we're seeing people come from there. As remote working has accelerated quickly, people are realizing that quality of life and location is really important. And so there's an inventory shortage right now, and homes are selling quickly. And so if you've got a great property at a good price, you're going to get some action.
I've been telling agents that that's what I'm seeing and hearing as well, is that never before did we assume that our homes would need to also be a school. Never before did we think that they would need to be an office, maybe two offices. And before with prior to the pandemic, living near lots of people, lots of activity was a really great thing. And of course, we've seen not just social unrest, within large cities, but we're also obviously the concern of pandemic. And I would predict, and I'm sure the numbers support it, is that you see an influx of people, as you said, moving to areas that are more suburban or more rural than maybe was convenient prior, because now they're able to work remotely. Maybe they're choosing kind of more destination locations from which they can live because now they're able to work remotely. So I do think that the world's changing, and people, whether they're moving in or out of the city, they're having to reevaluate, is our home set up for another stay-at-home order, right? Because that one was either awesome, we love our home, or that one wasn't so awesome, and I can't do that again in this home. And so I think it's an opportune time for agents to be capitalizing on that.
Look, I've been following what you've been doing at your house, and you're making improvements because you spent probably more time there than you have in the past few years, and you realize, you know what? I don't like this, and I need to change that. Now, not every home has the ability to have those kind of modifications made. And so I think a lot of us have had an eye-opening to our living situation and thought, okay, well, I might be in this for a while. Maybe it's time for a change. And so I think even though the number of properties that I think agents expected to come online, I've heard that a lot where people said, I just expected I was going to have these listings come on the market, and they didn't. So I think that combination is really driving the inventory shortage that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, to your point, Yes, people are, I would say at minimum, painting walls, right? Because there's pretty low barriers to entry to doing that. At the maximum end, they're actually moving locations and anywhere in between, right? We kind of fall in the in-between phase. So yeah, lots of opportunity for real estate agents to be relevant, to be valuable, even if it's connecting people to contractors and being set up to be their connection of choice for future real estate needs. So I'm 100% agree with you, and really interesting to hear about how it went from kind of panic mode in the luxury market, right? Of like the sky is potentially falling, to now it's go time, right? And there's massive opportunity. Like what a pivot that's been to see.
I think one of the big concerns that people were worried about was financing. There were agents that just thought that maybe some of these larger banks were not going to be able to secure the financing. And, that has to do with when the stock market was, not in a good position. That seems to have changed now. That could change at any moment, but at the current time, low interest rates, it's creating a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, no doubt. Emile, this has been deeply insightful, both on the marketing side as well as on the market update side. Let's move to our signature question, which is, you're a big thinker. Obviously, you've done some great things. You work hand in hand with people all day long that are also big thinkers. There's no doubt that you're making quite the impact and splash in the real estate market, not just in our region, but other places. And so I look to you as someone who is a big thinker, again, not just in business, but also in life with the way that you lead your family. Talk to me a little bit about what's maybe one practice or one bit of advice that you have for the rest of us as to what Emile Bonfiglio does to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities and grow. What does that look like for you?
That's funny. One of the things that maybe I pride myself on is this. I may not be the smartest person. I may not be the most talented person. But I am a hard worker, and I do not like to fail. And so I usually always try to find a way to make an outcome happen if that's what I'm looking for. And oftentimes that involves looking at different aspects, trying different things, searching a little bit deeper. For me, that's what I think has brought me the most success in life. I won't claim to be anything special other than someone who really dives into a process and gives it my all. And when other people maybe want to give up and quit, that to me is motivation to keep going and to keep pushing. So it's a simple concept, but for me, that's what I feel has brought me most of my success, is just the desire to just keep pushing beyond what people say I could do, because I knew inside that I can do it.
That's a powerful comment. And I think it really ties in with what we were talking about earlier. If the goal of marketing is to stand out, like at what point do people stop doing something, right? That's where you need to continue on. People stop doing print marketing. That's where you go do print, right? With you, where things get hard, most people are like, this isn't for me. I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. That's where differentiation happens. That's where separation happens, right? Which is where you're able to really get ahead. And I love that comment. I was actually considering that actually this morning. I have a great morning routine, and I was thinking about some of the things that I'm working on and how they just take time and they just take effort and they just take work. And I'm seeing progress both in my own personal growth and professional growth, but it just takes time and effort and work. And I think sometimes everyone looking for a silver bullet, right? Looking for a quick fix, looking for some secret. And the secret's really, if you talk to some of the most successful people, I know some kind of common friends that we have, people like Dick Silliman, right? We have like conversations with him about his success, and he's like, it's not anything magical. It's just, you just get up and go to work and do great work day in and day out, longer than most people are willing to do that great work. You'd be surprised, when you look up and see where you're at, you're at a pretty, remarkable spot, despite the unremarkable methods of getting there,
Look, and I'll say that ties right back into marketing too, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that advertising in Luxury Home Magazine alone is going to change your life, right? But that, in combination with other types of branding, print, digital, it's all the little things that add up that make a big difference. And so, regardless of what you're doing in life, you're right. There is no one quick, easy way to do it. It takes a culmination of steps and time, but that's what separates people and creates success.
I love it, man. Such great advice from a great leader. I want to thank you again for everything you've contributed today, and just that you contribute in general in the marketplace. This has been a great opportunity for people to get to know you better, get to know your offering to the marketplace. If people are interested in learning more about Luxury Home Magazine, I'm sure they see it, they love it. If somebody wants to learn more about how they can become a part of it, what does that look like?
Okay, you know what? Go to our website, luxuryhomemagazine.com, or follow us on Instagram at Luxury Oregon. See, there's a place for digital.
Love it. Good stuff. And for everybody listening today, I want to thank you for tuning in. If this has been helpful, do us the favor and share or tag somebody in here that you think would benefit from better understanding how to differentiate in the print world and how to differentiate in marketing in general, as well as a great update on the luxury home market. And then my final request to everybody here are 3 simple words, and they are go think bigger. Thank you, Emile, so much for helping us do that today. It's been a total pleasure as always.
Hey, you have an awesome day, and thank you for the opportunity. You've got a great platform here, and I appreciate being able to be part of it with so many other great people that have been on it in the past.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.